Who is this ghastly man?
Ace Ventura, pet detective. And you must be the Monopoly guy.
There's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of nature. You should try it sometime.
Alrighty then. You know something? You're right.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Monopoly is at it again. Now, they're no stranger to pandering to woke culture to try and get some buzz, and apparently it keeps working. I mean, I can only assume that a company that literally put out Miss Monopoly to deal with the false gender pay gap and Socialism Monopoly, it must work. I stop buying this crap. I don't understand. Look, let me give you, and today's is, new level wokeness is also hilarious, but just to give you a little background on how many times Monopoly has pandered. Here you have, yes, it's a socialism themed Monopoly game. It packs a message tailored for capitalists. Winning is for capitalists. At least that's the message behind the parody of Monopoly that surfaced on this week after a Twitter thread on the game spread widely. In Monopoly Socialism, an official version of the game manufactured by the toy company Hasbro, players move around the board contributing to community projects, unless they can steal projects to get ahead, according to the product's description. When players pass go, they get a $50 living wage as opposed to the usual $200. And their tokens are all dated artifacts like a typewriter, a phonograph, a pocket watch, an old-fashioned telephone, and an old-style TV. Get ready for laughs as twists and turns, or put a life on a damper or working project on a shared utopian society. The description for Monopoly Socialism reads, cooperation isn't always what it's cracked up to be, but depending on where you are on the political spectrum, the tone of the game is either condescending or tongue-in-cheek. It sparked debate this week on Twitter thread highlighting the version went viral. The game pokes fun at the idea of working together, presenting it as an ultimately incompatible with the selfish motives of some players. Players are offered a series of choices that seem to highlight the potential for others to defect from socialism. They can either contribute to the community fund or choose to deplete it. They can consider the best interests of the group or do what is in their own individual interest. Now, Twitter communists got really upset because, it was just more, obvious pointing out that communism doesn't work, socialism doesn't work, and never has worked. But people got mad, right? You see Nick Kapoor. I bought a copy of Hasbro's mean-spirited and woefully ill-informed Monopoly Socialism board game, so you don't have to. Getting just absolutely triggered over it. Of course, Miss Monopoly was another great one. This was last September. Miss Monopoly is supposed to empower women. Critics say it does the opposite. Another woke backfire. Of course, the typical 8-year-old probably doesn't know much about the gender pay gap. Now that the topic comes up, now the topic could come up if she plays the new game Miss Monopoly. Some critics are skeptical, however, of how helpful these conversations will be. Toy maker Hasbro announced this week of the rollout of the board game where female players receive $1,900 at the beginning of the game compared to $1,500 for male players. Girls also get $240 each time they pass go on the board, while boys get just $200. Instead of a real estate mogul, Miss Monopoly invests in female entrepreneurs. The front of the box is adorned with a woman in a sassy stance and a steel-colored blazer gripping the go-to coffee. It reads, the first game where women make more than men. Detractors say the rules of Miss Monopoly may be well-intentioned, but gloss over the troubling forces behind the fact that women in the U.S. earn 80% of what a man earns. By the way, the gender pay gap is absolute bollocks. It's been discredited by every major economist on the planet. The pay discrepancy is a result of decisions that women make and or the fact that, some women have babies and they can't work for 8 months out of the year, or 9 months. Sorry. Wow, that's not true. But they have maternity leave and all these things that happen. It isn't, they use this to gloss over that. They try to present it as women and men are paid differently for the same job, which is not true. And it's also illegal. They forget to mention that, but that's neither here nor there. A more apt version of the game would have male players face the penalties women face in the workplace, the associate professor said. In the real world, women ask for raises just as often as men, but are less likely to get them. Men are more frequently promoted into manager-level roles, and of the CEOs who lead the companies that make up the 2018 Fortune 500 list, just 24 of them were women. Now, you might, like me, might be saying, I mean, just because there are less women in a role does not mean that less women, or that it's a bad thing, or that there's, for sure discrimination. It's just not true. People don't really use any logic when they look at, this is not a gender pay gap. This is a earnings gap. They say it in their own graph. Look at the gender pay gap, but right underneath it, median weekly earnings. There's a difference between pay and earnings. All right. You make $40,000 a year, but if you take 8 months off to have your family, that's just, biology. That's the way the biology is. It's not a pay gap. God, it's so stupid. You have to be an idiot to fall for that. Anyway, Monopoly now scraps outdated community chest cards to appeal to woke folks. After 85 years of cheap hospital bills, moderate stock earnings, and maturing Christmas funds, Hasbro has now plans to bring Monopoly into the increasingly woke 21st century. The game makers decided to update its 16 community chess cards, which featured outdated prompts such as winning a beauty contest, actually receiving a tax refund, or the now rarely seen bank error in your favor. In place are more contemporary cards that evoke community service and social awareness. Swaps could include shopping local all week, rescuing a shelter pet, or tend to the community garden. But Hasbro wants players to decide which to include via voting. Since Monopoly became a household name, who even buys board games anymore anyway? Families are not spending enough time together, and more families should be playing more board games, but they just don't. So this is, since Monopoly became a household name more than 85 years ago, the world has changed and embraced blah, blah, blah. With community, blah, blah, blah. Other scenarios, okay, with community being more important than ever before, this year is a perfect time to give fans across the country the chance to show what community means. Okay. Other scenarios include rewards for visiting an elderly neighbor, patronizing the school bake sale, or donating blood. One may be praised for being a good friend, video chat them on a tough day. And you could call on that friend later to get out of jail free because, yes, Monopoly knows that's how the game is played. Players may also be penalized for acting out of selfishness, such as finding a lost wallet and keeping it, or hosting a party but failing to recycle. They also want to help deciding on what the 16 new community chest cards should be. Fans can cast their vote at monopoliescommunitychest.com. I'm sure this totally won't backfire. You see this. You organize a block party so people on your street can get to know each other. Collect $10 from each player. Okay. Fine. You pass out umbrellas to the people standing at a bus stop rainy Monday morning. Okay, let's go block party. All right. You spend the day playing games with kids at a local children's hospital, or you volunteer as a homework helper and you learn some stuff too. Okay, let's go here. Let's see what else we got. So you don't actually get to write your own in. You just get to choose of their 36 crappy ones. You volunteer to run the social media accounts for a nonprofit art center, and you meet some pretty talented people. What? Who's going to relate to this? You set aside time each week to hang out with your elderly neighbor. You've heard some amazing stories. You help build a new school playground. Then you get to test the slide. Okay, that one's okay. You volunteer for your local literacy center and learn some fun phrases in a new language. What? How many cities even have a literacy center? What is this garbage? You graciously host a group of international students. They appreciate the home cooking. What? You should have volunteered for that home improvement project. You would have learned valuable skills. That's a penalty. If you don't donate your time for free, there's a penalty for that. I don't like either one of these, but we'll vote there. You organize a bake sale at your local school. Fine. You tend to the community garden and discover a new bug. Name it something fun. Yeah, these are both fine. All of these are about donating your time, though. You donate your birthday money to a community center. Keep a little for yourself. You donate blood. There were free cookies. Oh my God. Who is this for? Your cousin forgot their wallet. You happily pay for dinner. Your fuzzy friends at the animal shelter will be thankful for your donation. All right. So the community chest is all about donating your time and being a good little communist. You help your neighbors clean up their yards after a big storm. Okay. Some of these are okay. Some of these are okay. You knit cozy sweaters for the hairless cats at your local animal shelter. You help your neighbor bring in their groceries. She makes you lunch to say thanks. Oh yeah, community is more important than ever. Vote below and help. Why don't they have a card that says, like, you call the cops on your neighbor because they had 3 people gathered outside, and your local ordinance says 2. Collect $20. Collect 10 woke points. You shopped local all week. Go. Hasbro, just stop. Just stop. I don't even know what to say about this crap anymore. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you guys real soon.